this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kim with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan. Tonight, 8, 7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have I asked my HVAC guy I found on Angie.com to change my grandpa's trachea tube? Because I was so amazed by how quickly he replaced our air ducts. I knew I could trust him to change Pop-Pop's tube while I was on vacation.
Make it quick, young man.
Aw, see? Pop-Pop trusts you.
I think we should call a doctor.
Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
The big game commercials are basically must-see TV. This year, Elf Cosmetics went all out with an absurdly funny telenovela called Melissa. It stars Melissa McCarthy, Nicholas Gonzalez, Itati Cantoral, and Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil. The Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil is an ultra-glossy tinted lip oil that nourishes, hydrates, and enhances your lips' natural color.
Watch the full episode of their new Elf novela on soyunbaño.com.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Welcome to One Thing Trump Did, available exclusively on the Middle podcast feed. I'm Jeremy Hobson. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for reviewing this podcast. If you like it, that helps us out a lot. And if you follow the news closely, you see that sometimes the Trump White House does something big on a Friday, maybe 5 o'clock p.m. on Friday. And then the weekend comes and you stop paying attention to the news. And by the time you do pay attention to what they did on Friday, something else has happened and you forgot to look at the first thing, which is one of the reasons why we're doing this weekly podcast, is to make sure that we take the time to cover each one of these things that's happening and we don't let it slip under the rug. And we do it in a nonpartisan way with a smart journalist who, as we say, knows what they're talking about. So something that happened on a Friday a few weeks back was that President Trump signed something called the Genius Act. That stands for Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins. Stablecoins are digital currencies that are backed by a physical asset like the dollar. And the Genius Act is the first major legislation designed around cryptocurrency to be passed in the United States. Here are some of the president's comments after signing the bill into law last month, and he's speaking here to people from the crypto industry.
Let me say the entire crypto community, for years, you were mocked and dismissed and counted out. You were counted out as little as a year and a half ago. But this signing is a massive validation. And even before this signing, over the last year, year and a half, I think your stuff has gone up more than any stock, or just about more. A couple of stocks that were pretty good, I will say. But you have certainly, as an industry, gone up more than anybody. Nobody's gained the respect in such a short period of time. But this signing is a massive validation of your hard work and your pioneering spirit and your ability to never give up. You've made our dollar look really good and strong and powerful. It's good for the dollar and it's good for the country. And that's why I backed you at an early stage. And I also did it for the votes, because you did come out and vote, I will tell you.
A lot there, and we're going to talk about what this means for the dollar. Joining me now is Axios crypto reporter Brady Dale. Brady, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so this is a complicated topic for everyone, including people who have spent some time focused on cryptocurrency. Let's start with the basics. Bitcoin and Ether and stuff like that, these are not stable coins, right?
That's right. Yep. Those are those ones you mentioned, those are native currencies of famous blockchains. They're what give people the incentive to keep them running, but they are definitely not stable.
So what are stable coins?
Broadly speaking, stable coins are cryptocurrencies that have been designed in some way to have some kind of stable value. There's been a number of ways to do that. Almost all of those ways haven't really worked super well over time, except for one, and that's the only one that is being dealt with in this legislation, and that is stablecoins that maintain their value because they are actually backed by dollars or dollar-like assets. So that's what we have under the Genius Act, and that's what the Trump administration is working to stimulate here in the United States.
So what does the Genius Act do?
The Genius Act creates a regulatory authorized pathway to create and issue stablecoins and manage them and operate them in the United States. So we already have stablecoins here. It's just that they're in a legal gray area, and big banks, big corporations, they don't like things in legal gray areas. They want things to be very clear before they're going to deal with them in a big way. And so that's what the Genius Act does. It says, yes, this stuff is legal to use. Here's how you use them. If you want to issue your own stablecoin, here's how to do it. So it's all totally unambiguously above board. That's what the law does.
And in the case of the Genius Act, this is all about pegging these stablecoins to the US dollar.
Yeah, one of the things the Trump administration is really excited about is they see stablecoins as a way to strengthen the dollar. So if you want to issue a US stablecoin, a payment stablecoin in the United States, it has to be dollar-based. There are other ways of doing stablecoins. Like I said, it can be based on other assets like the euro or gold, but that's not in this bill. This bill is all about US dollars. So, for example, all of your reserves need to be in US treasuries, and not just any US treasuries. They can't be long-term treasuries. They have to be short-term treasuries. A little bit of cash just to manage redemptions. So it is very specifically a law about authorizing payment stablecoins that are based on US dollars, one for one.
And by the way, the dollar has been dropping in value ever since President Trump came back into office. I can tell you that from experience because I was just in Europe and the UK, and my money did not go as far as it used to.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that other countries are worried about this, about the U.S. sort of pegging these stable coins to the dollar. They've launched their own legislation around stable coins.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of hope for those other countries' efforts. I mean, the truth is the world has shown that it wants dollars. They understand what dollars are. Stablecoins are very popular. There's places in the world that have, probably not the places you're talking about. You're probably talking about Europe there, but like other parts of the world that have weaker economies, on the street, people are already using stablecoins as a form of day-to-day transaction or just to have a safer place to save money, to earn some yield. So people want the dollar, there are, for example, there's been euro stablecoins out in the field for years now. They're outnumbered by US stablecoins by like 99-1. No one wants them. I wrote a thing recently where I said the US ships while Europe frets, and I think that's really the story. I don't think we're going to see anything but US stablecoins as a major part of the global sphere for a while.
Why would somebody want to use a stablecoin instead of currency right now?
The origins of stablecoins is first of all, back in the day when you were doing crypto trading, all the trading pairs were in Bitcoin. So you would trade Bitcoin for other things. And what that meant was you might make a really good trade where you earned a lot more Bitcoin on a trade. But then if the value of Bitcoin went south right after you did that, it's like your position is still down, and so it was hard to know what your position was as a trader. So stablecoins were better because you could kind of know where you were, but that wasn't the real use case of stablecoins. The real use case of stablecoins then I think it actually speaks to why they've become useful in a broader way is back in the early days of crypto, prices could get really dislocated between different exchanges. So there could just be actually a different Bitcoin price on one exchange or another. And so that's an opportunity for what folks call arbitrage. And if your listeners don't know what arbitrage is, I don't need to explain all of it, but I'll just say, if you spot an arbitrage somewhere in the market, it is guaranteed profit for you to trade on that arbitrage. There's no risk if you spot an arbitrage. And so obviously traders were wanting to trade away these differences, but it was hard to move money between exchanges because you would have to pull it out to a bank and then deposit it in another crypto exchange. Banks were very skeptical of crypto exchanges. They might have questions about this. They might make it go really slowly. They might not let you do it at all. That was no good. So people invented stablecoins as a way to quickly move money out of one exchange and move it on to another exchange. And so the first tagline for Tether was an easier way to move money. And so that's kind of where it all started. And so now we're seeing that expand, across all kinds of things. there's companies, for example, a lot of small tech startups, right? They will hire developers, engineers abroad to like do their basic coding. There's a lot of like Eastern European coders out there. Well, stablecoins are an easier way for them to pay those coders than to try to like go through correspondent banking, or companies that are wanting to manage their treasuries around the world. Say they have locations in multiple places. Stablecoins do that faster and easier. So this whole idea of moving money globally is kind of the big use case that stablecoins have proved to be effective for. Moving money globally can be slow and expensive under the existing system, but it's really fast and it's really cheap with stablecoins.
Well, and one of the stated reasons for this legislation is to prevent people from, using this for money laundering and stuff like that. But why would the government decide to put through the first major crypto legislation in its history and not involve the biggest cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin?
No one's too worried about Bitcoin in terms of laws and regulations at this point. It's everyone kind of accepts it's not a security, it's under the Securities and Exchange Commission. So Bitcoin's okay. I mean, stablecoins, I think the reason to start with stablecoins is just because anyone who like looks into the crypto world in any length at all quickly realizes that stablecoins are just clearly the first killer application of this technology, which is kind of ironic, right? Because it was always supposed to be about like getting away from US or any, government-based currencies and sort of like setting money free and all that stuff. But the truth is these things just work really well and people are really happy with their user experience for them. So this is just the first success, and it's such a no-brainer for the United States. If the United States wants to maintain this powerful soft power instrument that it has in the US dollar, then, stablecoins just strengthen that. And so it's very easy for policymakers to be like, yes, let's go further with this because it's good for us on every level. The next thing that legislators and the Trump administration wants to deal with is sort of how to regulate the overall crypto market. And that's wildly more complicated, So, I mean, I think they'll get it done this year. I expect that will happen. But like stablecoins were seen as like the easy early win.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
What did the people who were adamantly against this legislation say about it?
The one complaint, which I honestly just sort of dismiss out of hand, is people will say stablecoins aren't really safe. It's that people using stablecoins are at risk of runs on the bank and that kind of thing. That just doesn't hold up to much scrutiny. The truth is stablecoins are actually just based on their basic engineering, just genuinely safer than banks. Like you deposit money in a bank and it lends it out. Probably your bank is sitting on like 5% of actual deposits in the bank at any one time. That's not very much, right? Like they can't handle much of a lack of confidence. Right. They can't handle much of a run. A stablecoin has literally all the money there. Like it's all just there. The way the stablecoin makers make money is they're buying all these treasuries and they get to keep the interest earned on those treasuries. They don't give those to the stablecoin holders. So what the stablecoin holders are giving up is, they don't get to earn that direct interest off the deposit. And they're okay with that because they think they have some idea that will be more profitable to do with the stablecoins. That's okay. They'll let go of that treasury interest in order to do the other thing that they want to do with the stablecoin, which is better for them. The second one makes a little bit more sense. It's the anti-money laundering concerns. There's no question that stablecoins have been wildly useful for criminals. That is just absolutely true for criminals, terrorists, all those sorts. But the question that policymakers just always have to ask themselves about everything is anything that comes into the world that's useful is going to be used by criminals, right? And so like you just always have to strike this balancing act. Like how much do we restrict this thing versus, because the more restrictions you put on it, the less useful it is to everybody else, right? Like bank robbers drive on roads, drug gangs use cell phones. It's just like everything useful is used by some kind of miscreant. So stablecoins are the same. And so you need to have some kind of constraints on them. But if you put too many on, then they'll stop being useful. So that's like the second objection, which I think that one has, at least it's not completely illogical. Like the first one, there is some real merit there. And then the third one, it is true that the Trump administration has made a lot of money off of the crypto world, including stablecoins. So World Liberty Financial, which is a company that its profits primarily flow to the Trump organization, has issued a stablecoin. In the grand scheme of things, it is a very small stablecoin. I think it has like $2 billion under management, which sounds like a lot, but it's really nothing in a sector that's approaching $300 billion. And so it bothers a lot of policymakers that, the Trump family is going to profit off of this thing that he just signed a law on. And that is a legitimate concern. But again, it's just a political question. I mean, the question policymakers have to ask themselves is, yes, it stinks that the Trump family will make a few bucks off of it, but is that worth just not doing this
Not having the
thing
regulation at all.
and not letting
Right.
other people profit off of it who are going to go much
Right.
bigger and do much more? So that's that. But that one is the one that I would say has slowed this down as the most. Like if Trump hadn't launched a meme coin, if he hadn't launched a stable coin, I think Genius would have gotten passed like 2 months ago. But that gave a lot of political fodder for slowing it down.
But it got passed anyway. And I want to talk a little bit more about that when we continue in just a moment. One thing Trump did with Axios crypto reporter Brady Dale. Will be right back.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kim with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan. Tonight, 8/7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have I asked my HVAC guy I found on Angie.com to change my grandpa's trachea tube? Because I was so amazed by how quickly he replaced our air ducts. I knew I could trust him to change Pop-Pop's tube while I was on vacation.
Make it quick, young man.
Aw, see? Pop-Pop trusts you.
I think we should call a doctor.
Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
Ever wonder why so many people regain weight after stopping a GLP-1? Up to 40% of the weight lost can come from lean muscle. This weakens the body, slows metabolism, and makes it easier to put the pounds back on, creating a cycle of dependency. Prolon's 5-day fasting-mimicking diet offers a drug-free way to maintain results and support long-term metabolic health. In just 5 days, it activates fasting pathways to burn fat, protect muscle, and rejuvenate cells, all while letting you enjoy real food. Get 15% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/iHeart. That's prolonlife.com/iHeart.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Welcome back to One Thing Trump Did, exclusively on the Middle podcast feed. I'm Jeremy Hobson. This episode, we're talking about the passage of the Genius Act regarding cryptocurrency. I am joined by Axios crypto reporter Brady Dale. So Trump made some promises on the campaign trail. He said he wanted the U.S. to be the crypto capital of the world. Is he so far giving the industry everything they wanted?
It's pretty strong so far. Yeah, I mean, up till now, there had never been a crypto law passed. One has gotten passed. He said he would make this strategic Bitcoin reserve, which he did the executive order for that. We haven't gotten more details on it yet, but apparently that's coming soon. But he did do it. He is pushing hard on this regulation law. And what I expect will happen is in September, there will be a bunch of drama around the law, like there was around Genius. And then Trump will yell and stomp and tell his Republicans to get it sorted out. And then they will, and it'll just get passed in September, much like that's sort of what happened with Genius. And I expect it to happen again. And he'll just say, just pass whatever you've got, like just finish now. And then he just dropped this 160-page crypto report, which has just tons of recommendations that are all directed at how do we, foster growing this industry faster in this country. How do we make things easier? How do we catch up with the way the industry works and not just keep doing things like the past? So yeah, it seems like it's full steam ahead.
What about Trump's own investments in crypto? You talked about that a moment ago, but how much money is he making off of all of this?
He's made a lot of money. I mean, some of it's on paper, right? So it's not realized yet. So, for example, he launched this meme coin. It theoretically means he's worth several $billions, because that's what the meme coin is sort of worth in the market. But
This
if
is
you
the
try
Trump coin.
the Trump coin, yeah, the official Trump coin, yeah. If he tried to sell all of that at once, the price would tank crazily. So it's not really worth that. But there's estimates that he's made just by one of the things you do when you have a coin is you sort of like seed liquidity around the market, and you can earn money off of people trading. And so he's done that. And there's estimates that he's earned like $300 million off of providing liquidity. And so that would be like, free and clear. Like I said, there's this $2 billion stable coin. Now that doesn't mean he has $2 billion, but that means he's earning like, 4 to 5% interest per year off of $2 billion, which is not chump change. His sons are launching a Bitcoin miner. Trump Media has bought a big pile of Bitcoin. And so if Bitcoin does well over the next few years, they'll make a ton of profit off of that. And where it all started with Trump, the first place that he made money in the industry is he launched a line of NFTs. And that hasn't been crazy money or anything. It's been in the millions of dollars, but it has been nothing but easy profit for him. So he's earned a ton of money in a lot of ways. I mean, it might even be, some people have estimated that it's the largest source of his wealth right now. It sort of depends on how you estimate these things, but it certainly has done very well for him. And it is very weird to have a sitting president earning money really on anything. But he is.
And also, just when you mentioned the Suns making money on it too, I feel like there was a story about the son of President Biden that became really big in the right wing circles about how he was making money with a Ukrainian gas. I can't remember which one that is, but I feel like Trump was pretty upset about that one. Let me ask you. Bitcoin, meanwhile, which you say is not part of this stablecoin legislation, is near a record high right now. What is going on there? Why is crypto so hot right now?
I think the biggest reason actually is just that the world is coming around on this idea that Bitcoin is digital gold, that it is this place you can stick money, and if you are going to sit it there over time, you probably won't lose it, and you'll almost certainly make a decent amount. At least, so far, anyone who has held Bitcoin for 4 years or longer has never lost money. You can't find any 4-year period on the chart in which someone would have lost money. And 3 years, it's like almost everyone, And so I think that's the biggest reason. More specific reasons, there's now Bitcoin ETFs, so people can buy Bitcoin indirectly in their brokerage account. And then there's this crazy trend going on right now where all these companies are, a lot of them are companies that don't really do anything anymore. Not all of them, but many of them are buying lots of Bitcoin just for the purpose of saying they're sort of a Bitcoin vehicle. And they're issuing stock shares, or they're issuing convertible debt in order to buy more Bitcoin, with the theory being $1 invested in this company will yield more exposure to Bitcoin over time than just buying Bitcoin directly. That's a bet people are making. I don't know if that's a good bet, but that's driving a lot of acquisition of Bitcoin. Some other sovereign nations are talking about getting into the Bitcoin game alongside the United States. So there's just a lot of big forces moving into this space. And as your listeners may know, but if they don't, just in case, Bitcoin has a expressly finite supply of 21 million coins. And so every time someone buys a coin and says they're not going to sell it, that shrinks the supply just a little bit. And supply and demand being what it is, that drives price up. So that's the story.
Do you think that it is important for the average American to understand all of this and to understand what's going on with the stable coins and the Genius Act?
I mean, to an extent, yeah. I tend to think this industry is going to continue to be a big and powerful one, and folks who are looking for opportunities out there in the world, this industry presents them for them. There's a chance that they could find a place in this world, and so they should, at least if they're looking to do something different, it's something that they should consider. It's also very easy to access. There's a lot of normal people out there who have increased their wealth a decent amount by carefully investing in the space without going too crazy. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities, and I think it's not going away. So in that way, I do think it's important for people to understand it.
The Genius Act prohibits the Federal Reserve from creating its own stablecoin, but it also does allow banks to create their own stablecoins. I know JP Morgan Chase has already created its own stablecoin. Why, as an individual, would I pick one over another?
Why would you pick any particular stablecoin?
Yeah, like if I'm like, oh, should I get the Bank of America stablecoin? Should I get the Chase stablecoin? Should I get the this stablecoin or the that stablecoin?
I think eventually you won't really pick one or the other. I think eventually you'll have no idea. I think the time will come when we'll stop talking about them as different. Like they will be different kind of on the back end. You could go look on the blockchain and see which one you have and stuff like that, or whatever block. There's a bunch of blockchains, but you could go look and see. But I think before long it won't matter. There's this concept of the singleness of money. And once people get comfortable enough with stablecoins, they'll just sort of treat them as totally fungible. I mean, this gets a little bit over my head, but as I understand it, this is kind of how banking works right now. Much of the money out there is sort of created by banks, and no one asks themselves, is this wire, is this payment I just got from my employer, is this, Chase money, or is this Bank of America money that just take the money? So I think that is where it will end up. You won't pay attention to it, but that is a few years out.
I'll just pick the stable coin that lets me get into the best airport lounge. That's probably what will happen. I bet that's what will happen. It's going to be like the Chase Reserve Lounge you can only go to if you have the Chase stable coin, or you get more entries per year, more guest visits. Let me ask you, you talked a little bit about the politics of this and the people that were opposed to it, but this bill got bipartisan support in the Senate and the House. Why? What's going on with the politics there? Just everybody's kind of in favor of this, or not everybody, but people on both sides?
I mean, I think there's two things. There is a giant bazooka of crypto money out there looking to ensure that people are supportive of the industry's priorities. I think that's really important. But I also think it's true that a lot of lawmakers just realize that this industry isn't going anywhere, and we can either, get on board or be left behind. And I think that's also the idea. And particularly on stablecoins, this is one, I understand people have a lot of skepticism about the crypto world. As someone who has been following stablecoins since back in the era in which people thought issuing stablecoins on blockchains would actually be impossible and there was no point in doing it, and has watched them get to where they are now, and has followed many of the ebbs and flows along the way, it's really hard for me to make a good case for why the world shouldn't have stablecoins. They do make things work better. Correspondent banking is problematic in a ton of ways. Stablecoins route around it. I don't know. I just think it's going to save the globe a lot of money soon, and that seems probably good.
Yeah. So Brady, now that this is passed, what's the next thing on your radar on the crypto beat?
Yeah, I mean, it's this market structure legislation. So that's the due date from Trump to get that done is the end of September. So let's see if that happens. I think it will. I think there'll be a bunch of changes and stuff, and I think there'll be a lot of discussion, but I think it'll happen. And then the other thing I'm watching is, Bo Hines, the Trump's crypto guy, said during the discussions around this report that he just released that the plan for the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve is coming out soon. I don't really know how important that is to the globe ultimately, but it's eye-catching and I'm interested in it. So I want to see what our plan is on the US government owning Bitcoin. But the most important thing is this market structure legislation that's being worked on in the Senate right now.
That's Brady Dale, who covers cryptocurrency for Axios. Brady, thank you so much. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thanks to you for listening to One Thing Trump Did. It was produced by Harrison Patino. Our next middle episode is coming to your podcast feed later this week. We're going to be asking you, this is a good one, if you're afraid to speak your mind right now. And we're going to be joined by political commentator Camille Foster, along with philosopher and former presidential candidate Cornel West. You will not want to miss that. And if you like this podcast, please rate it, write us a review. Our theme music was composed by Noah Haidu. I'm Jeremy Hobson, and I'll talk to you soon.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Over the last couple years, didn't we learn that the folding chair was invented by Black people because of what happened in Alabama?
The Montgomery Brawl.
This Black History Month, the podcast Selective Ignorance with Mandy B unpacks Black history and culture with comedy, clarity, and conversations that shake the status quo. The Crown Act in New York was signed in July of 2019, and that is a bill that was passed to prohibit discrimination based on hairstyles associated with race. To hear this and more, listen to Selective Ignorance with Mandy B from the Black Effect Podcast Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
1969. Malcolm and Martin are gone. America is in crisis. And at Morehouse College, the students make their move.
These students, including a young Samuel L. Jackson, locked up the members of the Board of Trustees, including Martin Luther King Sr. It's the true story of protest and rebellion in Black American history that you'll never forget. I'm Hans Charles.
I'm Menelik Lumumba.
Listen to The A Building on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Ryder Strong, and I have a new podcast called The Red Weather. In 1995, my neighbor, Anna Trainer, disappeared from a commune.
It was nature and trees and praying and drugs.
So no, I am not your guru.
And back then, I lied to everybody.
They have had this case for 30 years.
I'm going back to my hometown to uncover the truth. Listen to The Red Weather on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.